Today, I'm going to be showcasing the best settings and loadouts that you guys can use in order to become not only the best, but the #1 player in Call of Duty Mobile like myself. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Alright guys, so first things first, we are going to be going over our HUD. Now, my HUD for my iPad and phone are basically the same, but of course I changed some things around due to the fact that it is a bigger device. Now, on the right side, I do have the movement. I have my jump button, my crouch button, and my probe button alongside with my reload button. But on the left side, I have my movement pad, my shooting button, and of course, to those that are wondering as to where my scope button is, it is actually right here, but it is at 0 opacity. Now, I know my face cam might be covering a few things, so let me go ahead and turn that off for you guys. Now, as you guys can see, everything else on the screen isn't really that important, but I do have the kill feed right here, the calling card right there, and the main thing that is kind of important is of course the mini map. The mini map is the best way to not only have the best awareness in the game, but it also helps you recognize spawns and know where your team is headed towards. Now, as you guys can see, my lethal and tactical are of course on the bottom right side, and aside from that, everything else is at its usual place, just like how any other player plays the game. Now, in case some of you guys are still confused, I'm going to be dropping a picture right now. It is color coordinated, and it's going to tell you guys where I put each finger on my HUD. Now that we're done talking about our HUD, we're going to be going into our actual settings for COD Mobile. Now, as you guys can see, my basic settings are pretty much similar to most rank warriors and pro players, but the main thing that is the biggest difference maker for me and other players are of course the FOV range and the FOV FPP. Now, the reason why is because when I did play on a smaller device like the phone, I would lower it down to the 70, 75, but because I'm on an iPad, not only do I use sync FOV, but I also do have a higher FOV for myself. Now, as for my functioning settings, it is of course pretty much similar to most people as well. The only difference I have is the fact that my always sprint is at 85, which basically makes it a lot easier for me to not only walk, but also activate the sprinting ability. Damage number transparency is also another thing that I would recommend to some players depending on how much you guys like playing for info. For example, if I throw a nade across the map and it ends up connecting, not only will I know how much they are hit for, but I will be able to make a call out for my teammate. Aside from that, everything else doesn't really matter. The main things, like I said, were of course the ADS for FOV and the sync FOV option. Now, heading over to the graphics controls, we of course have my graphics quality at medium and my frame rate at ultra. Now, this is going to be the most important part of the video. The graphics quality doesn't really matter. However, I would recommend to those that do play on low-end devices to play on low or medium graphics. Even if you're on a high-end device, low and medium graphics is probably the best thing you could do, because that is the only way you guys can activate ultra FPS, which allows you guys to play from 120 FPS all the way to 165. Aside from that, I don't really have anything too crazy for my settings, but if you guys do want my hit effects, I do use black, and I of course use a scientific halo. This is just by far the most eye-catching and easiest thing for me to actually see on my screen. And for the get hit hint, I of course use red. I would really recommend you guys to use a vibrant color that's easy for the eye to catch. And my audio, on the other hand, yes, I know it is a little bit messed up, but because I'm recording the video, I just had to lower it. But the audio, whenever I am playing and streaming, I do max it out all the way to 100 for every single aspect. Now, going into sensitivity, this is gonna be a little bit confusing depending on how you guys like to play. Now, for my rotation mode, I use speed excel. Now, for most iPad players or phone users, people tend to use fixed speed, but I found the most comfort to be playing on speed acceleration. Now, the difference between fixed speed and speed acceleration is the following. When you're playing on speed acceleration, the faster you swipe, the more you guys can turn around and look around the map. But with fixed speed, no matter how fast or slow you swipe, you guys will have the same sensitivity crossing through your screen. Now, as we go down further, the link sensitivity with resolution, I would recommend having that off, because if you guys do turn it on, your screen is going to feel quite weird. And as for my camera sensitivity, I'm going to be scrolling down very slowly, but these are the values that I do have for my settings. One quick thing, I would not recommend copying my tactical scope, my 3x to 4x to 6x and 8x scope. The reason why is because I never use those scopes, and I've never used a tactical scope, so I never really bothered playing around with them. Now, going on over to my firing sensitivity, we do have the same exact values for the standard to ADS sensitivity, but once again, for the 3x, 4x, 6x, 8x, and tactical scope sensitivity, it is random. I've never played with them. I do not ever plan on playing with them, so of course I would not recommend copying that. As for gyro, I do not play on gyro, so that doesn't really matter. So these settings right here are going to either be set to 0 or nothing at all. Now that we're done with the settings and basic controls, we're going to be heading into our loadouts. Now, for our very first loadout, we have the Man of War. Now, I swear I did not use the Man of War on a daily basis. This loadout right here is the only loadout I use to take down Goliaths or any stealth choppers. And the reason why is because with the thermite rounds, those Goliaths, those score streaks, and those choppers end up going down in merely seconds. Now, this is the build that I would recommend using. Like I said, this is only meant to take down Goliaths, stealth choppers, or other score streaks in a matter of seconds, so use it wisely. It is a very fun gun to use, and it actually got a buff this season. Now, up next, you guys may laugh at me, but I have 4 different USS 9 class setups. Now listen, before you guys say anything, yes, I am a USS 9 abuser, but what do you expect? It is the main meta weapon and the #1 weapon for this season. But if you guys want to find out what the top 5 guns for the season are, make sure to check out my other video once you guys are done watching this. But that aside, yes, I do have 4 USS 9 setups, but each one has its own purpose. My main USS 9 setup is right here. Yes, I do use the default variant sometimes. It's between that or the mythic version. This one right here is my go-to setup in which I want to use whenever I'm playing OBJ or streaking up, which is why I have overclock, which increases the charging speed of your operator skill, and of course hardline. The second one I have is the same exact setup, but the main difference is the fact that I do have an annihilator. As for my third one, once again, different operator skill, which is now going to be the death machine. And for the fourth one, I have another USS 9 setup once again, but this time the main difference is the fact that the operator this time is the bull charge and the score streak is a Goliath. Now, if you guys are interested in what the setup is for my USS 9, I do use this one. This is by far the best one to use after it received its nerfs. And if you guys don't know what the nerfs are for the USS 9, it basically just got a bunch of movement nerfs, which is why I ended up changing from the no stock all the way down to the Forge Tac Ultralight. For my fifth loadout, I of course use this CX9 setup alongside with the Tundra. Now, you guys might be wondering, how am I able to use 2 primary weapons? Well, because of the new COD Mobile update, they ended up adding a perk called Overkill, which you guys can equip with your setup and basically have 2 primary weapons. Now, this build right here, I only use in modes such as Search and Destroy, TDM, and of course frontline. Whenever I want to play long angles or just camp it out in S&D, this is what I use. It is of course the Tundra, and if you guys want my build, this is what I would recommend for you guys to pop by. And whenever I want to play aggressive in the TDMs, frontlines, or S&D, all you gotta do is switch to the CX9, and this is of course the build that I recommend for you guys to use. Now, coming in as our number 6 loadout for this season, I of course use the MG42. Now, the MG42 actually did get a nerf this season for some reason, which I'm not gonna lie, did not deserve it whatsoever, but it is one of those weapons that I use if I ever want to act like a sentry gun and just hold power positions. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this weapon right here is actually very good to use, especially on hard points, because all you need to do is get 5 kills on the hill with this weapon, and on top of that, you're gonna have 250 bullets, so it's gonna be very easy to get those kills and spam the bullets. Now, this is the setup that I recommend using for the MG42. I do use the 250 round like I mentioned earlier, and before you guys do ask, yes, this setup works really well with the default version as well. You guys don't need the mythic version. Yes, it is good to have the mythic version, but the other one works just as well. Up next, we have my shotgun setup, the KRM, which is only meant for maps such as Nuketown, Summit, or Standoff. Now, the reason why I do have a smoke is because of the fact that if I do want to close some distance or get to some ratty angles, all I gotta do is pop a smoke and get to that angle, and I'll be able to spawn trap however I please. Now, I know some of you guys are going to question whether or not I prefer the HS or the KRM, but in my opinion, I do prefer the KRM only because of the fact that I've been used to this weapon for such a long time, and it is a lot easier to use. Now, if you guys want my setup, this is it right here. You guys can honestly change the laser to the green laser, but I would recommend using the RTCG laser 1 milliwatt if you guys are hipfire users. Coming in at number 8, we of course have the PDW. Now, this weapon right here did get a buff in the recent seasons, and I'm not gonna lie, compared to every other SMG, I'd probably put the PDW at number 2, up next to the US9 being number 1. Now, the good thing about this weapon is not only does it have great range for all 3 ranges, no matter if it's close, medium, or long, but the mobility, strafing speed, and time to kill is super duper fast compared to other SMGs. Now, if you guys want my build, I'd recommend using this one right here. Now, the main thing that you guys could take away from this is replacing the disable perk with the sleight of hand if you guys prefer faster reload time. But with the PDW being an SMG and already having a fast reload time, it is just going to be overkill. So this one's probably going to be your best bet. Now, coming in at number 9, this is going to be the only assault rifle that you guys see in this video, and of course, it is the Odin. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the only reason why I have one assault rifle in this entire loadout is due to the fact that I'm not really that much of an AR player, but sometimes when I do want to sit back, relax, and actually take my time playing those power positions for my team, this is the build that I would end up running. Now, I know what you guys may be thinking. This isn't your usual Odin build that you guys see from pro players like Uling or Tectonic, but this is what I found to be the best build to use in rank. Now, the reason why is because due to the fact that the Odin has been receiving a lot of nerfs in the past few seasons, I figured out that this is the best one based off what Robalo told me. So shout out to Robalo for this build. And yeah, this is what I use. It works really well with the default variant as well, so don't worry. And for my last and final setup, I of course have this setup right here. Now, as you guys can see from the name right here, setup for videos, this one is only meant for videos that I do end up wanting to record or guns that I want to test out that come out in new updates. So completely disregard this loadout right here. I would not recommend using this gun. I actually do think that there are better options. So yeah. And with that being said, those are my best settings on loadouts to use in Call of Duty Mobile. Let me know down in the comments what your guys' favorite loadout was throughout this video. And of course, drop a like, drop a sub, and I'll see you guys in the next one.